Hi, it's Eurocine Expo 2025, day one in a very hot Munich. I'm sitting next to Tim Kang from Aputure. Well, we know you're Aputure. You've got the hat and the hat
and the logos, yeah.
Yeah. And you're doing a few seminars here as well, aren't you?
Right.
Before we talk about those, though, I'd like to. How did you get into this industry? Or how did as a kid, did you grow up wanting to be something in movies and filmmaking?
It was not really a career aspiration when I was growing up. I loved movies as a kid, and I loved, like any other kid growing up in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So it was a golden age of blockbusters and everything. But it was actually when I was in university that I started really getting into movies on a more personal interest note.
Yeah.
I would go to the university library and they had a whole wing of where you could just watch, because they had film classes. So for homework you would take different movies on VHS out or DVDs out or whatever, and watch it with your own headphones on your own little TV. So that was actually the beginning of my real deeper love for film. And I was actually looking through the syllabi of different film classes, because I didn't take any film classes actually.
I was going to say, so what were you doing at university?
I studied actually biomedical engineering.
Right, brilliant, yes, okay.
So I didn't have a chance to really take any film classes, right? But that was my education for myself, because it was my outlet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to do anything to do with science, anything with engineering.
Your happy place.
And I just wanted something else that was just for me time that I could really get into. And so I was looking through syllabi and I watched Seven Samurai for the first time and fell asleep the first two times I tried to watch it. Because I was like, how could anyone take this initially? And then somehow it clicked. And then next thing you know, it's like, I love Seven Samurai. And then would watch all these other classics
that it influenced. Yeah.
So that was the real beginning of it. And then, but I was always knowing that I had to do something with science and art combined into something, but on a creative basis. And I wanted to be a musician. That went nowhere. And I was, broke in New York City, trying to make in that area, trying to make a living and trying to find who I was. And eventually, I got married, and my wife said, "You're miserable at what you're doing. I can't stand living with you. You got to do something that you love. Otherwise, I don't think this is going to work out between us." So I was like, okay. So she, I was already doing photography. I was doing stills photography, wanted to be a stills photographer, but I wasn't really happy with it because it was too much of a lone wolf sort of workflow. You shoot a wedding, you shoot a concert, you shoot whatever. Maybe you'll have an assistant, maybe you'll have somebody help you, even if you're doing, but it's not really me. But my wife knew I loved movies, and it was a pie in the sky dream to want to be able to help make them. And so I enrolled in an NYU continuing ed class with 16 millimeter. And we shot basically. They told us, here's the first day of class. Here's a 16 millimeter camera, one roll, 200-foot roll Tri-X. And a four light low light kit. And here's a light meter.
Do something.
And you pair off into split off into teams, and in 2 hours you have to shoot and edit camera.
Okay.
A story.
Wow.
And you're supposed to trade members of the team doing the different roles, but instantly everyone realized, oh, this is the DP. And they pointed to me because within the first 5 minutes, I figured out how to work the camera. I knew exactly how to do exposure. And thought about how do you not just light for exposure, but how do you actually light to feel right for what's happening? Right? Little I know that was visual storytelling. And that was the day I realized, oh, I'm a cinematographer.
So I mean, you made that sound very simple, but what you said, looking through the viewfinder, and working out how to light to make that look natural, or how you want it to look. was that just a light? That's a bad pun. Was it a light bulb going off over your head, or did did it just feel natural to you that that's what it
was
should be?
It just felt natural to me because it was everything that I was. Because I was 30. I was 30 at the time.
Right.
So I already spent my 20s trying to becoming a rock musician and failing at it.
You threw your 20s away, yes.
Stills,
yeah.
Doing everything, being around all these different venues and different worlds in New York and exploring. And so it gave me the foundation to recognize when I did that activity, it was everything that I was.
Everything came together kind of thing.
Everything came together, and especially, I'm a middle child, and I'm definitely a middle child. I have an older brother and a younger brother.
Yeah.
And cinematographers, we're the middle children of production. And so it just fit like a glove because I'm not a director, I'm not a producer. You never would want me to produce anything. And I'm not a writer, but I am very comfortable of honoring someone else's vision.
Yeah.
And facilitating that with a whole crew of people below me and being in a hot seat all the time.
Yeah.
Being under scrutiny all the time is just very comfortable to me.
That is a huge thing to be comfortable with, isn't it? Because it's
not natural to a lot of people, but to me, it was my whole life.
Yeah, but it's weird because it does. Yeah. You do find that somehow a lot of cinematographers I talk to, that's where I fit, kind of thing. You felt like you're slightly odd shaped, but then suddenly it all slots in. Yeah. And everything because the questions people are going to ask you, you've got answers for.
Yeah, exactly.
And the challenges people give you from above, you want to find the answers to. So it's
naturally, I'm more of an interpreter, not I don't conceive of the creative vision and idea. I'm there to get to know the director, create that relationship, foster a relationship, really get underneath the motivations of whatever it is they have in their dreams, why, whatever. But I know the technical stuff, and I know the human nature of relationships, working with gaffers and camera teams and camera operators, whatever. I know the language, know all that kind of stuff to be able to ultimately construct a visual language to tell the story.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you've kind of described it in a technical term there, but you're a massive creative cog in that, because the director's partnership with a cinematographer informs both ways, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And how many times do you work and you find you click very quickly with a director?
It's hard. It's hard because it is like a romantic relationship. You don't get along with every single person you meet, right?
It's like speed dating.
Yeah. So that's why, once you see a lot of times in history, once a director cinematographer pair click off, they click off and they don't change around because it's such a difficult thing to find, right? Yeah. And that chemistry is really difficult to find. So, and for me, I was lucky during my cinematography career, was able to find a couple of those.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I ended up in lighting because there's the career of cinematography and the calling. See, that's my calling in life. I'm a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not. That's what I realized. It's just who I was.
You're stuck with that.
I'm stuck with it because this is how I think. It's how I am. As I said, it's a very authentic thing of what I am.
Yeah.
But there's the career of cinematography.
Yeah.
And that's a different piece. Right.
Yeah.
And eventually, that career of cinematography, especially in the United States, is not conducive to have a real life.
Yeah.
It's very tough. You have to have the stars align in your personal life.
Yeah. Whether
it's you have a ton of money, you come from money, or you've got a whole network of people to support if you want to have a family.
Yeah.
And and eventually I was married when I got into this, obviously, and eventually I had my first son, and I kept missing out on life.
Yeah.
Because I was off shooting something, and feature, documentary, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really hard, and it got to a point that I just realized, I'm not willing. To me, it ended up becoming. It's not true for everybody, But for me, it became a binary decision in terms of the career of if I keep going down this path, I will not have my wife and kid any longer.
And as your wife actually pushed you down this route in the first place, she's got your ass.
Yeah.
So you, you can't get.
But it's not just for her, but it was for me. Like I need her. I need my son in my life, and I was missing out. I was miserable more and more, even though I was doing my dream career in the places that I loved with wonderful folks. And that's when I realized I wasn't happy, not because I wasn't doing what I wanted, but what I really wanted ultimately was that the most important human relationships in my life. And that was my wife and my son. So.
And that, you've put your finger on the biggest downside of this industry.
Yeah.
That it is so super intense.
Yeah.
That it demands so much out of people.
Yeah.
It can suck you dry and then spit you out kind of thing. Yeah.
And some people figure it out. They do. And they figure it out in relatively healthy ways. And I just didn't have ultimately the support network and stuff to be able to do both that I wanted.
Also, you've got a scientific background. Yeah. So moving into the more lighting side of it. Yeah. There's a synergy there that it all wraps up in that kind of thing. And lighting is probably one of the most exciting things to be in at the moment, isn't it? Because it's just it's constant change, it's constant development. Isn't it?
And that's actually ended up in this side of things. I'm still a cinematographer masquerading as all these other things. But actually, my mentor was actually just walking by right here. So I helped David Stump ASC in BVK. Yeah. I helped him write his textbook on digital cinematography when I was in film school, and it was around that time that I saw that being able to connect the dots is really important, and he connected me with the ASC Tech Committee.
Right. Yeah.
It was called the Tech Committee at the time, and then eventually became the Tech Council. But ultimately, it was all the uber nerds of the film business arguing in the clubhouse, the ASC clubhouse, about how things should be done. And here I am, just this nerdy Asian kid trying to just make it in this business, sitting with all these, the giants of the business.
Probably fitted in straight away.
Yeah, he was. I was a fish I was totally a fish out of water. But I stuck through it. About 10 years of working through these committees, being around all this, and eventually I saw a need, and the need was in lighting. All these committees were focused on post display, theatrical, you name it. There were just committees on camera and color, but nobody cared about lighting. I asked about it, and it was always like the most awkward question to ask because nobody knew the answer. Because they were all post people, or they were all camera people. No lighting people were in this space, and I approached Dave and approached other people that I knew. Curtis Clark was in charge of council, Rick Chacho was in charge of the workflow committee, and they all agreed we should see what can we do. So I created a subcommittee called the Lighting Subcommittee of Workflow. It was this very low and totem pole sort of thing. But the first meeting that we held filled the boardroom. More people showed up for this meeting than any other subcommittee that they ever had.
No pressure then.
So here I am, just like, oh my gosh, because it was all the lighting manufacturers. And that's when we realized, there's a need. There's a lot of questions, a lot of issues with LED. And people were scared, or people were nervous, or people just didn't know what to do about a lot of deep technical questions. And somehow I was just in the right place in the right time to say, hey, we need to do something about this. And so this is in 2019. So this is exactly exactly 6 years ago. And so that started the AC Lighting Committee, and then I was working for Quasar Science at the time as my day job, doing lighting fixtures. But again, as a cinematographer, doing all this because I suffered through issues with LED. And it made me angry, which is why I joined the whole business in the first place, was something needs to be done because stuff is broken. stuff is not working, and I lost jobs to bad LED.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get, well, maybe we can get into this, but yeah. But I had personal vested interest in as a cinematographer, like, this stuff is not right.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how do we move the industry forward, because we can't accept this.
Yeah.
Because things are going away. And if things go away, incandescent lighting is starting to phase out. HMI was just beginning to start phase out a little bit. But there's stuff that you should not lose. So that's when that was my impetus at the time, and here I am. You know, 70 years, 80 years later, still at it. Yeah, so,
it's it's fascinating. You know, there's how we make choices in life, and grab opportunities and find us own.
And I do these lectures now. You know, color science. That's tomorrow. I'm lecturing as the ASC Lighting Committee with Imago, talking about the work we did for just trying to figure out what is white light.
Yeah.
And so we're calling it ASC White Point.
Yep.
And then I have a color science talk about just how do you make sense of trusting your eyes or not. So there are tools that I've been able to develop or learn over the course of working with folks like Dave and others with experience that this younger generation of filmmakers do not know. So I'm just trying to bridge the gap. And reintroduce a lot of these things. So that just how do you light a green screen and blue screen? And realize, wait, something doesn't look right to my eye. But to the camera, it's right. You know, it's just working through a lot of this stuff. So
that's fantastic.
But it's again for the purpose of storytelling. It's for a creative purpose. There's a technical reason for it, but ultimately, it's for a creative vision and a storytelling vision. So that's always a motivation.
That's got to be the bottom line and the top line and the motivation for it. Well, thank you for spending the time to talk to us, Tim. Brilliant to talk to you.
I appreciate you allow me to spout off like this.
I love it. And I hope the talks go well. I'm sure they'll be well attended and people will go away with a lot more knowledge than they came in with. So thank you very much.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you.